What's good, Dream Chasers, RTR? Welcome to the second episode of our podcast.
Welcome.
It's gonna be like usually the both of us, and then we'll add on special people.
Yeah, I'm just co-hosting at
people
this
that
time.
we enjoy, people that might be entertaining.
That this is definitely something that you do a lot of work into. You put a lot of work into this, and I want people to know how.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, of course. So what are we talking about today?
I appreciate that, bro. This week's been mad hectic, bro. A lot of changes going on and a lot of things that we're working on, music, socials. I hope they had a good Christmas and New Year's.
Yep.
How about you, bro? How was yours? Honestly,
It was okay. It was good. I got to see Persephone and her family, so that was definitely.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's always
What about
nice.
yourself?
Bro, Christmas was fun. So was New Year's, though. Like, both of them were really fun. So, yeah. Yeah, bro. Like, yeah. Having fun with the wife, bro. Like, that's honestly, now that's, for me, that is the best way to spend, like, really any holidays with my wife and her family. But I know that we've also this week been doing a lot of ancient research, things on, like, ancient societies, ancient cultures. Yeah. We've been doing a lot of research on that, and I know you were researching the Slavs, so I don't know if you kind of want to battle this thing out, because I think my ancestry is doing pretty good, sir.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're doing pretty good over there, so I kind of wanted to see what you had going on.
The Slavs are very old people. Very, very old. Some of the
How old we talking?
Some of the genetics of the Slavs date back to like the earliest people in Europe, like the Central Europe, all Slavic land. They had a lot of plains. They were a lot of villages.
Right.
They were very expansive and very spread out people.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that they're very spread out.
Yeah, it made them a target. But we'll get into that later. The way that we see Slavs today stem from about the 5th to 6th century. That would be Siberia and the Eastern Europe. Some of the Huns were like part of that Slavic culture in a way. They're a little bit different, but kind of grouped in that. The Avars, the Avars.
Bro, the Huns, bro. Okay, so like Mulan, bro. To defeat the Huns.
But yeah.
Facts, bro.
Because that's they knew Gothic, and they had some Gothic, and the Gothic was very much assimilated by Slavic people. So these are definitely interesting people who had King Attila. That would have been a very interesting person to look up of the Huns. If people don't know who King Attila is, he's definitely a bane of Rome. They were very afraid of that man.
Oh, really? So was he like a tyrant?
King Attila, a little bit in certain aspects. At that time, it was different, but.
Bro, how can you be a little bit of a tyrant, bro?
He was very similar to, what's his name? The Mongolian leader.
Gee, but like a halfway tyrant, though?
Yeah.
His
name,
but so even in Mongolia, bro, you can't be a halfway tyrant. I can't be like, yo, I'm going to dictate, murk all of you people. And then be like, hey guys, but it's still like all loving, bro. When it's like that, people immediately start fleeing, bro. Like they start leaving the country or wherever they're like getting covered over, they just start dipping, bro. Like as soon as it gets to that, because like if you have a very headstrong leader, that's one thing, It's like, okay, we all know that our leader, our government is very headstrong. But like when you do that half and half and you're a halfway like, yeah, that never works, bro. It just never works out when you're like a halfway one.
He was very like charged in the front. Like he had a sword that was made from meteorite. They called it the Sword of God. So,
bro, he had a sword made from a meteorite, bro?
Yeah, and it was a very special sword for Attila. And Attila, some people argue that it's East Germanic origin, which means that Attila is formed from the Gothic word father or little father, and they compare some reason to Wolfilda, which Wolfilda means wolf or little wolf.
Heard. All right, so there's a lot of
he
origin
definitely
there.
could have some Slav in him. The Avars are a group kind of like the Khans. These are people who are involved with the Khans. You got the Bulgars, warrior tribes. You got this group like called Friuli, which Friuli is northern Italy, across the Andes Mountains around that area, I believe. Austria, what would be modern day Austria, and you have a lot of different like derivatives, multiple groups from the Czechs to it. Just
That's
it
probably
goes
why
on.
so many people
The
are Slav,
Poles,
though. That's probably why so many
Slavs,
people
yep.
are Slav. Also,
Russians,
like,
Belarusians,
yeah, bro,
Ukrainians.
it's very big in Russia. It's very big in Russia.
Yep, it's definitely
Yeah, like a
the
lot.
Slavs.
Yeah, facts, bro.
It is
But
a
then again,
Slavic
Russia's
culture.
huge, bro. Russia is massive.
180 million people, if I remember correctly.
Do you know where the meteorite sword is today, though? Like, bro, I don't even know if you could lift it, though. It's probably huge, honestly. It's probably, bro, it's probably huge. Would you use, like, a katana, or would you use that? Like, if you could pick either wielding the katana or wielding the meteorite sword, which one would you?
So the sword is actually in the Museum of Vienna.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay, so I can
And
see this thing.
yeah, I can literally pull up pictures of this sword.
Oh, heard.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looks beautiful.
For real, bro, they crafted it up really good.
It's very beautiful. It has like
Heard.
gold inlay in the blade. Like it looks golden. Like all of it. It has like the inlay, even the blade like is gold.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah, it's just
Okay, so you have like, all right, so you have your own engineers, your own people that like would build any type of weaponry that you could have. What is that? What is that looking like? Like, what is
My
your
weapon?
like choice weaponry?
like in this
You
time
said
period.
AR-15.
Are we saying in this time period?
No, yeah, in this time period, all the way until ancient, bro. Like, you could honestly make something futuristic if you wanted to.
Okay, so if I had to choose, I'm probably gonna choose. That's a tough question, honestly. Since we're using every time period, I'd probably use some sort of semi-auto rifle that has a great scope on it. I don't know exactly
Right.
what that rifle would be.
Right.
But something that's medium to long distance engagements with like a sidearm being a pistol. If I was in those
Okay.
times, I'm definitely using a shield with a blade, or depending on the fight, 2 blades, a shield and a spear.
Heard.
It depends on the fight, of course. I believe
Okay,
weapons
yeah,
are used
100%.
for fights.
100%, because I could see some people like wanting to just like they're like, bro, nukes, bro. I'm sitting back and I'm only pressing a button. You feel me? But like some people like to get into it. Like me, I would like to get into it, but have like enough space to where I could do like projectiles and do. All right, bro. Have you ever watched Record of Ragnarok? To kind of like tell you what I'm talking about.
Not enough of it.
Well, like if you all right, so if you guys haven't seen Record of Ragnarok, so pretty much just like this anime, it's like kind of Americanized anime that it takes scene where it's like the end of it's already been like years and years, probably years down the line, and it was a battle between the gods and the humankind, because like the Valkyries, they came and they're like, yo, why aren't y'all giving like the humans a fair chance, like, because they were on some wrath of the gods, you feel me, like destroy them and obliterate them completely, and they're like, no, why don't you give them a fair chance for them to like fight y'all and see what was up, like see if this just shows that you're honestly scared of the humans, you know. So they were like, yo, we're not scared, and they started battling, and bro, like humans were killing gods, and gods were like murking humans, like it was legit, bro. Buddha's in it, bro. Buddha's fighting, bro. Like Buddha got mad hands that I never knew about, bro. Buddha got hands, bro. Buddha got hands, bro. The weapon that they had, Jack the Ripper actually had it. The Valkyries made him a weapon. It was like almost a stringline lace weapon, but this weapon was able to like manifest anything out of the streamline of energy. You know, it was like the
That's
size of
wild.
like dental floss, and he
Mm.
was able to like either like it was also as sharp as a knife, so he could like cut people with it, like sling it around like almost like a lasso whip that would just like cut through anything. But he was also able to manifest anything out of it, which was like the
Okay.
coolest thing to me, bro. Like honestly, that would probably like rank top for a weapon of like my that would like really pique my interest.
Okay. So we talked about the Slavs. You were talking about your culture. Okay, so let's dive into your culture. What's the history behind your culture? Why are you feeling so strongly in this? What's up with
Okay,
this?
well, all I gotta say is, like, there's a little bit of Egypt in there, and that's really all I gotta say. I'm not trying to harp on it too much because, like, all right, so, like, right now, like, my blood is very Nigerian, but when you trace that back further anciently, it kind of like gets to this point to where it divides, and when it divides, it's like partially Nubian and partially Egyptian. But
Okay.
Nigeria is more on like the Nubian side aspect of things, even though they worked
Mm-hmm.
a lot with Egyptians.
Yeah, yeah, they were very hand in
So
hand.
like any society, well, not any society, but in this society, they had times of peace and times of war. So it kind of made them the A group of cultures because of this. They were able to engineer certain things, and engineering was
Mm-hmm.
kind of boost and taken away sometimes due to like the times of war and peace. How it was pretty much divided. It was more so in the upper side of Egypt, but it was like on a side by side kind of. This kind of stemmed around 3000 BC to 300 after death. So it it,
Okay.
it started off pretty early, and there's like, dude, like this history goes deep, but a lot of things were like taken away and destroyed in like certain eras.
Right, right,
um
right.
yeah, but like it ran well, the hierarchy ran well, and then like working with Egypt, like, dude, they that like elevated them to a whole nother level. Yeah, so
Okay.
like they even had like social structures, hierarchies, like slaves, peasants, priests. I actually like I like getting into like the pet aspect of it. Like, because me, you know that I want me some lions, bro. Like
Right.
those are my dream pets. I just want to be walking around with like two lions right next to me, and just like,
Ready to go.
I got lions, you feel me? Like, I'm not worried
Yeah.
about I'm not worried about your nuke. I got lions, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Facts. That's how I am, bro. But yeah, that actually might be something. You get one. It might be something because like the royalty, the kings, they used to actually wear like lions like their hides. They'd actually
Okay.
used to wear their hides. That
I
was
get you.
very interesting to me because I was like, I knew it came from somewhere because a lot of people are like, yo, if you walked up to a lion, you'd be terrified. I'm like, no, I wouldn't, bro. I feel just at home, bro. Like, I had a dog, and my dog passed, bro. I loved my dog so much. My dog had passed. Well, not passed. I just let him go, but I just had to get rid of him. But I just let him go, I'm like, be in peace, puppy. Like, I miss you. I miss my dog. But yeah, so my dog had passed, and I'm like, the only thing that resembles, I know
So
it's weird. I
wait.
know it's weird, but the only thing that resembles to that dog to now would be a lion, bro. Would be a lion, bro.
So you're saying that the way so there was different from slaves, peasants, priests, nobles, and kings. So like, was there in these early time periods? Was there land? Like, how did they determine what class of person you fit into at this time?
Okay, so it was really like based off of color, which I think is kind of fire. It's like people of more
Okay.
importance were like more colors of importance. It's like,
Okay.
yeah, but like I like dyeing my hair too, so That
So
I feel like everything kind of
if I
like
was a king, if I was in nobility, I would be wearing like a very colorful color. So like a
yeah,
red or something, like a
facts.
purple, like something.
Facts, bro.
Okay.
Hey, bro. But like, honestly, it's weird, bro, because it's like, dude, it's literally like nowadays, bro. Can you imagine, like, anciently, they're like, yo, you wearing the wrong color around here. You're wearing,
Right.
you're wearing the wrong
Right.
color, bro. Facts.
You need to
Dude's
wear the
jumping out with a
right
bow and
thing.
arrow. He's popping out with a bow and arrow. You don't got nukes yet, so he's popping out with a bow and arrow, bro. You're wearing the wrong color over here. Take that. Let me run it for
Okay.
your lion. You feel me? Let me run it for your lion high.
I need that lion pelt now.
Facts. Give me that. But what about you? How is the social structure and hierarchy?
Okay, so the social structure in hierarchy for the Slavic people, it's a bit different. Well, quite a bit different. So, the sense that we talked about how the Slavic people were really spread out over all of Europe and Central Europe and
Right.
Eurasia type areas, they were very much based on marriages outside of blood. So, like, there wasn't very much royal families. It was like, oh, okay, this person over here has this beautiful woman or this successful nobility type woman of that region,
Right.
and an alliance with that tribe would be nice. And also with the assimilation aspects of the Slavs, they also married outside of like just typical what we see in the old times, the royal structures. You need to marry this kind of person was less of a thing. It was more.
Oh, really?
More.
So they were
Yeah.
just like get in where you could fit in, kind of.
Yeah.
Bro, but like that's
was an
kind of like how it is
assimilation thing.
nowadays. Like nowadays, it's like okay, so we're not so much worried about okay, you came from. But honestly, it's really about where you're at. You know, like that's honestly what it's about, bro. Because some places like
There's a
Florida,
status
it's a melting
aspect to
pot,
it.
bro. It's a melting
There was
pot,
a
bro.
status
Like
aspect to it.
you have people marrying animals. You know what I'm saying? It's Florida, bro. Like, what do you
Yeah.
expect in there? Like,
So yeah, there was definitely a status aspect to it. There is like, essentially, the tribal leaders, of course, are going to be trying to marry people who are going to help forge alliances.
right.
But for the majority of the people, they're just marrying outside of family structures. They're trying to expand, trying to grow. Very migratory, nomadic people, just kind of seeing what's out there and I guess getting what's out there. So, they definitely were a bit different than a lot of other social structures.
But you were saying that
In
like
that
they,
aspect.
they were trying to get around and like getting in with multiple cultures. And I think one of the
Yeah.
ones that I heard was the Han, and I was kind of thinking about that thing like Mulan, and if that like happened nowadays, like if men couldn't get into the army, you know. But like yeah,
Yeah.
like but honestly, I feel like it's that too because I feel like everyone will have the right to protect, you know, like especially if not
Yeah.
anybody, especially women have the right to protect. They literally have children, you know? So like I know that it's
Yep.
a natural instinct. Bro, but have you heard that thing where like women get pregnant and then after they have their baby, they want to kill their baby? Like it's something science and like biological is the word. Something biological going on that makes them want to kill their babies. Have you ever heard
That's
of that?
crazy.
Yeah, bro. Like,
I have not.
bro. Honestly, like it's like a postnatal depression almost, and it's like
Oh,
even
okay.
if you don't want to,
Like
you're
they're
you're
losing that
logically thinking I
singleness.
don't want to kill my kid, you know, but like I want to kill my kid. You know what I'm saying? Like in your
Right,
mind,
that's
it's like I don't want to
and
kill my kid.
all this stuff, all my singleness and my stuff is being taken away now.
Right.
Like,
No, bro,
that's
but it's
gone
not
because of
even
this
like
kid.
that, bro. Because like logically, you're like, bro, I'm not trying to kill my kid. Like, why in the world? But like, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
of
almost like
course, of
depression,
course.
bro. Like when it's like, bro, I'm happy. Why am I feeling depressed, bro? And it's like this deep urge down inside of you, just like, I want to kill him. Like, Can you imagine though? Like honestly, you're
That
chopping up his baby care, like you're giving him his baby food, and it's like, yeah, motherfucker, just wait. You wearing the wrong color, you're wearing the wrong color today. You know, it's triggering something in me. It's triggering something.
so I will say that based on that, writing for these people was a bit different.
Okay.
It was a little bit later for most Slavic people to get to like a uniform language,
Right.
which would have been called the Gallo-Gaelic script, which
Okay.
it's one of the oldest known Slavic alphabets.
I think I see it.
And it would have been
It looks almost like Sanskrit, bro. It looks almost it's very ancient.
similar to that style, like Assyrian, Babylonian,
Yeah.
Iranian type writing.
Right,
Definitely
right.
that vibe. But it's agreed that probably a man named Saint Cyril, who was a monk,
All right.
invented this.
Heard.
So I actually dug into. Oh, excuse me.
Oh no, you're
Minor
fine.
setback.
I didn't know monks created languages. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Saint Cyril, let me go into this. Cyril actually came from Alexandria. They call him Cyril of Alexandria.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was definitely an interesting person. He disputed with Nestorius or something like that. It's a famous individual. We can dig into some of these people later. But he's just a very influential philosopher who helped create some of the structures of the churches we see today.
Well, I got
this is a man who did it. And the guy, it's interesting that the man who was renowned to invent Slavic language came from Alexandria, Cyril of Alexandria. And
like Alexander the Great, Alexandria?
Alexandria of Egypt, Alexandria.
Ooh. Wow, so they're like
talking,
they're even that kind of connected.
Yeah, we're talking a man who spent some time in Egypt before going to the Byzantine, Thessalonian regions.
Okay. Honestly, I was gonna ask you because me personally, I didn't know that like saints would like, okay, my work is creating a language. So like if you as anyone under God, you know, if you were like, okay, this is your life purpose is to create a language. How do you think like if you created it, how would it catch on?
If I created a language,
yeah, like how would you get it to be that point, like where it's like English, or would it just like flop? But some people could say slang, bro. Some people could say slang is like a language of its own, and you just like need to say it like kind of saucy, and then you could.
I think language is a very interesting thing that needs to have its own. Like, what is language? That needs to be a topic of its own. How did spelling become? What is words? How long have words been used? Who created words? Who was the first person
words
to
are
create
spells,
words?
bro. Words are spells, bro.
Yeah.
Words are 100% spells, bro. It's like, honestly, it's like we wake up every day and we're like, hello, good morning. Bro, what are you mourning, bro? That's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
What are you mourning, bro? Like, who died, bro? Like, you're just waking up to death, bro. Like, it's weird, bro. Like, I feel like all of that stuff just has like
M-O-U.
Right, like that's literally
M-O-U-R.
Exactly, but like why do we say that? It could be anything, bro. It could be beautiful day today. And that's what we say. Like there should not be no good morning. I'm mourning really good. This is an awful place. This is mourning it. I'm really mourning it, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
no.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, that's awful, honestly. But, like, I feel like... I don't know. I feel like we should try that out. That might be a good theory. Say something else and, replace it. Be like, what would it be, though?
And how do people respond to it?
Right, Grand Rising. That's another one that was pretty popular that I seen, like, someone being like, Grand Rising. And that might be, like, a way more positive day. Like, I don't know. I've never tried. As you were saying, the writing.
Or maybe like, may the seed of the sun be sprinkled on your day.
Ah, that's fire. May the seed of the sun be sprinkled on your day. That my day already felt better just by saying that. I'm so happy to be able to say that to somebody, bro. Good morning. Bro, that does not leave any type of good taste in anything, bro. Like that's ugh. I don't
Right.
yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. Like knowing what it is, I don't like it. But I feel like there's a lot of
Yeah, it's a
words.
bad
I
tinge.
feel like there's a lot of
But
words in
what?
the English language
So
like that.
what is this? What is the writing that the
Okay, yeah, pardon,
Egyptians? So if I
pardon me. Sorry to get on, but all right. So the writing like went in with Egypt a lot. So you already know that Egypt was doing like the hieroglyphs, and then they're also doing like a language called Captic. It was like a Captic alphabet, and this is this
like Coptic, is that what you're
Coptic,
talking
that's
about?
what it is. Coptic. Okay, so that version kind of came from a monastery, and I think that's where the two end up
Okay.
connecting. Like I think that's where the two end up connecting, where like they kind of received the
Yeah,
same
that makes a lot of
origin
sense.
because like I don't know, like the monasteries. It was like the monasteries took over at a certain point, and they're like, okay, let's just like reinvent
Like
everything,
this
but not
spiritual
reinvent.
energy just took
Right,
everything over universally, and it had universal
100%.
control over the mindset and the way that people use their daily reality.
Right, because the monasteries started creating the languages, like and it's
Right.
hard because at that point it was getting to more okay the army's in charge of a lot of places over the religious aspect being in charge. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
kind of sketchy to be like what exactly happened in that in between time period to where it was like okay the warriors are in charge to maybe it was like the warriors have to be smart and the only thing that we know that is like smart and actually learning is like spiritual stuff. So it was like
Right.
okay so let's hand
Okay.
this over to the monasteries. But if you're a monastery, you're a preacher, you're a pastor creating the language, what kind of things are you that you're putting in language? I feel like you're putting real intention, like real like spiritual intention. If you're a preacher saying
Yeah,
monastery,
because when you're creating language from that place, you're looking for you'd probably be asking for the spirits to help you with whatever you're doing.
right? Yeah, exactly. So like I feel like even the language that we say, we rarely trace the things we say very back to the origin. Like
And you gotta
yeah,
think, most of these guys, most of these leaders back in the days were pretty known for having a heavy hand, right?
right,
Very much dictators in today's
a
style.
hundred
If we were to
percent,
see these people, we'd call him a dictator.
right,
So you're talking about a guy who has a not always a short temper, but they got to get things done, or people are angry and want their head,
yeah,
and they're constantly playing. And these guys own the military, and then they go up to you when you're wearing robes and you're just reading a book and you're humming and you're doing a couple chants and you're trying to just get more enlightened. And these guys with swords and bows come up to you and they're like, "Hey, in the knight's clothing, like the whatever the nicest clothing and attire is for each culture, they're like, we need you to figure out how to teach everyone else this." Okay.
right.
I need to do this because if I don't,
You're getting
I'm losing
slain.
support from the guy who can protect me.
Facts. If you don't, he's saying you're wearing the wrong color. Facts.
Yep.
So I can understand
That's
that.
his.
I can understand that. But even if you have that person that's like, okay, this language is backwards. You feel me? Like this language is backwards and it has all this negative aspect, connotations, whatever you want to say. All of this negative background. I want to change it. Oh shit. But even if you if you were to change it, even if you were to change that, you would still have the background of the language before. Like, so say if I had like just only knowledge of just like demonology into a language. Even if I was like, okay, I'm starting from scratch, I'm erasing all that's in my mind as a language
You
is
still have
that
conditioning.
it would still
Yeah.
be the conditioning. So I can see like it being very hard to like get
So
rid of that original
unconscious
root
writing.
of whatever their intentions first were when writing the language. Or just hope
Yeah.
that they had good intentions at first.
Yep. I get you.
But
So let me go into some of the art and architecture a little bit.
Okay, sounds
So the art and architecture of the Slavic people. This is something that It stems. So if you guys who are listening, Slavic architecture, we see today is very similar to Russian architecture. So if you remember the Russian building that has like the circles,
Right.
like the colorful
But
circle.
yeah, because that's
Yeah,
also
like
a big thing, right? Like
Yeah.
these ancient cultures, they keep their architecture around for like years. Like we don't change
Yes,
it.
for a very
We
long
don't change it. Like we don't like tear them all down and make new ones. Like we build off of.
No, we keep it.
Right.
Yep, and so there's a lot of that. It's very pagan-like, actually. There's a lot of characteristics taken from ancient Slavic pagan temples.
Wow.
So there's a lot of that that's attached to it. But I mean, most of the architecture that's been around is derived from the ancient ways of building. Like, obviously, it wasn't brickwork for the longest time, it was wood. But some of these types of styles and the curvature and the angles and the arcs of the buildings,
like kind of how like in China, like the roofs, bro, I really love it. Like I really love how like their structure, how the roofs kind of curve up.
It adds to their culture,
right? And it's kind of like their own thing. But like even innovation wise, bro, like when you're thinking innovation wise, the Romans, the ancient Romans created aqueducts and dams, and we still use those to this day. Like it's not something that's completely scratched, and this is supposed to be over like thousands of years ago, you know, and it's not like something all new and innovated.
What did the Nubians and the Egyptians have, actually? I'm curious.
Okay, so for the structure, it was very like perishable materials. Everything was pretty much made from like animal hide, so like mud. Reusable. You get what I'm saying? Like how they built the temples, you know, like kind of like that mud based foundation where it would almost be like cement, and like they like using lighter materials that were like still a part of the earth, you know.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
It was kind of like that, and like so I could get into a little bit of like civilization and the trading aspect of it. So when they were doing that, it was kind of like they would sell cattle. Ivory was still a thing. So like you know how now they still like and animals are, bro. I was watching. Have you watched that? Man, it's who's on it? His name is Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman has like this documentary of like animal life on Netflix. I forgot. I think it's called like Our Planet. Have you seen that?
Planet Earth.
Yeah, it's like Planet Earth, Our Planet, something like that. And bro, the first episode, he was like, bro, this thing shook me to my core, bro. The first episode, he's like calmly, he's like, we are now the 1% remaining. 99% of all life on Earth is extinct to this point. I'm like, what? Bro, how can you casually drop something like that? That 99% of all things that were ever on this planet do not exist anymore, and we're just the remaining 1%. He dropped it so casually. I'm like, bro, that is terrifying, bro. 99% gone. Eliminated. Extinct, bro. Like, how does that happen? But back to trade. Yeah.
We survivors out here.
Bro,
we out here surviving, but we gotta keep surviving.
Like, everything on the planet's wearing the wrong color, bro. That's crazy. So, when you... Alright, so they're barred on, like, cattle, the ivory, carnelian, gold, animal skins, hardwood. Incense were very popular around this time, so incense as well. Yeah. But they mainly traded with, like, Egypt, you know, they were very connected, and Egypt had things and Nubia also had things, so they just kind of neighbored and traded with each other. But the things that they'd get from Egypt were more of the spiritual higher things like beer and wines and oils and linen, like kind of the higher step up.
Yeah, like the produced goods.
It was like, it's pretty much like, I don't want to say we're generic Egypt, but like, you know, bro, like, but here's the thing.
It's like the base. It's like the base to the production.
It's like the base to production. So they actually helped out in Egypt in ways that Egypt couldn't help itself. But we'll get into that later. How about your trade? Like, how is the Slavic trade?
So there was a lot of tribes. So these tribes were like kind of like these big. So it'd be like a lot of mini tribes that would turn into like bigger tribes.
Heard.
Around like 12 of them, 12 to 16 or something like
Right.
that. And these tribes mixed with cultures through, a lot of it was conquering on conquering. So there was a lot of people enslaved and then assimilated, or like the Romans would come by and enslave all these places. So when the Slavs freed these people, or they
Right.
escaped,
Kind of like the
or
gypsy traveler
Rome
kind of vibe.
dissolved, the Slavs just expanded out, and then the people just assimilated into Slavic culture. So
Right.
there's all of that.
But I know that they
and then
capitalized.
there's
I know that they capitalized on them like meeting all those people. I know that they had like a lot of trading routes like developed along there.
Yeah, so they had trade routes. They were definitely, since these are nomadic, migratory people at
Right.
first, they were not like super settled. Like they were settled, but they were just very. The tents that you see for like the Khanate and all those, the Khans and all
Right.
that, the Mongols, the people of Slavs were doing similar things.
Right.
Before people see the Khans doing it in the level that they did it. The way that I'm saying is when Rome was around, when Rome was, the Slavic word comes from spoils of war,
Right.
because the Slavs would constantly be at war with the Romans. That's why
Yep.
the Slavs were not in Italy.
Exactly.
That's why they were not in France, because they got pushed back
Right.
by the Greeks and the Romans
Oh.
until we see them where they're at today. And there was a lot of assimilations and new cultures that grew from the pockets of what was
But
left. But the Slavs were since they were constantly at war, they were very nice to these other cultures, other than these extremely big threats that threatened their lands consistently.
Right. But like I know that they were probably even getting in on the Romans, bro, because they seem like very like pretty war active, but the Romans were like a powerhouse, bro. Like they were nothing to really play around with, bro, especially in that time. Like the
Right.
Romans were that
Especially
army.
when the Greeks are on one side and the Romans are on one side, and then you have like China's empire
Right.
and all those empires far east.
So knowing what you know, who do you think like nowadays would be like closest to like the Romans military wise?
America, no doubt.
Why do you feel that way?
America, because they have a lot of different types of weapons. Their cohesion reminds me a lot of the flexibility, the tactics, having cavalry mixed in with the infantry, mixed in with, all these different tools to where they could have less numbers, but because of their skills and their weapons and their training, they fight off higher numbers with extreme efficiency.
Right.
To a point that they're feared throughout the world unanimously. They could be out in the African regions and people would know what the Roman colors were.
Right.
People would know what the people in Greece would know.
100%.
People in France,
And that's what
people in Germany. Everyone knew the Roman standard at that time. Everyone was afraid of them, besides like Far East, China, Japan. They didn't know, because there was all these other people that were fighting back from Rome's expansion.
Right, I hear that, but like you said, people would hear the Romans, or if the Romans are coming, they're shaking in their boots. Do you think like in like some parts of like Asia or Europe, like, or even like Iraq, that like when they hear like Americans are on their way, they're like shaking in their boots. They're like not Americans.
Like they're gonna fight, but they don't want to fight.
Right. Okay.
They're like, this is our home. They're here. We're gonna fight for our beliefs, but we don't want to do it.
All right. So
I think that's kind of.
All right. So.
And there's a lot to that too. I mean, there's
right.
A lot
So
to
when
everything that we say. So take what I say with a grain of salt, to my fans and to the ones listening. Take the things that we say, me especially from my perspective and everything. Just take it with a grain of salt. I'm only just trying to educate and show certain ways of life. I'm not trying to say this is what's right or this is what's wrong. I am just saying this has existed, these things went on. I'm not complaining about things either. I'm just pointing out things for the audience, you guys, those listening, for you guys to really just make your own decisions.
100%. I agree wholeheartedly. I appreciate you clearing that. So speaking of like
absolutely.
bigger and like more resources, I would probably say more resources. I feel like fear comes with that. How are y'all doing on like numbers and populations? Like how big are y'all? Like how big are y'all?
So
Especially today, like how many
really, really
Slavs still
big.
live on?
We're around right now. Around right now, there's 360 million Slavs in the world. But like I said, it's
That's
very
a lot,
tribal,
bro.
so it's all
That's a
spread
lot.
out. It's a lot. But everyone's spread out. Like I said, all these Slavic people aren't unified. So it's not one big Rome. It's just like 12 to 16. So you divide that. Well, you can't even divide it like that because at least half of the Slavs reside in Russia.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like that because that's the closest place to them to, like, their culture, you know? Because Rome still has, like, all the
That's
same,
that's that is their biggest
Right.
stronghold. But it's more for Eastern Slavs. So there's like the genetics of Western and Eastern Slavs are very similar, but the cultures, what they dealt with and who they met was different. So their perception is different.
Right. But, like, in a battle, y'all would probably run right over us. Like, back then, there was probably only, like, 4 million, you know? But 4 million back then probably was a lot. But like even later down today, you would think there would be more, but a lot of people were killed in that time. There's only like roughly 7 million today. You know? So like y'all would
Wow.
probably like bulldoze over that. So like with people like this and like the smaller populations, you really got to hold strong to your religion in order to like stay true to yourself. So
Yes.
like
Okay, I see that.
they practice like a mixture of different religions, and like now like of course leading into the modernization of Christianity and that message and the gospel being spread more. With that, they also practice like the Egyptian religions. They practiced the same type of worship and hierarchy like that they did as well. So it's very, I don't know, but like I can't really imagine the transition into from like serving Egyptian deities to serving Christ, you know, like serving that like without any type of violence or any type of rash nature.
Mm.
So
Okay.
how about you? Like how is that kind of religion thing? Because it's very hard for me to understand, even though I do know that Jesus had for a time period went into Egypt, lived in Egypt. It was a time where King Herod was killing all of the children under 2 years old. All of the males born under 2 years old, uh, he ordered for them to be killed. So Mary had to take
Mm.
Yeshua to Egypt, and they stayed there for some time period.
Yeah.
So like he was there for a while, you
Right.
know. So like I don't know if they could kind of
Just
see the
studying.
message on him, or like I know like you being around that energy, being around certain things can already kind of like start impacting and making things like change,
Right.
eyes
Absolutely.
open, like that awareness of it all. How about you?
Um, there's actually some pretty interesting. So, before Christianization,
Right.
there was. You have to remember there, like I said, there's a lot of tribes, a lot of different perceptions, Eastern and Western. So there is a lot of different gods. It's very like the Greek, the Norse, polytheistic would be the word for this.
Okay.
And so their supreme god at that time would have been Perun. And Perun is a storm god, very similar to like Zeus.
Okay.
Like Odin's a bit different, but Zeus and Perun seem very similar.
Right.
Like the thunder, lightning, the strength with the
Yeah.
storms. There's a lot of that aspect. Then you have people like Veles, which was Perun's enemy. So Veles is a sneaky, mischievous god, so a shapeshifter.
Really?
Who lives in the who is an underworld god. Then there's a god called Dashbog, who's a sun god, who gives. He's in charge of dishing out wealth.
Okay.
And then there's let me look for another Farog, who's into smithing. He helps give vitality. You have Davana, who is a goddess of wildlife, forest, the moon, and hunting. Then you have like another one named Smargol or something like that, and it's fire and fertility. He's Perun's right-hand man.
What would...
He's a shapeshifter who looked like a young warrior. He is a wolf, depicted as a wolf in this picture that I'm looking at. It's a wolf with like angel wings, and he's a shapeshifter who has a ring of fire around his head.
Okay. All right. So do you think like their kind of religion was like more so on the pack mindset, like the mini aspect of it, like the wolf kind of aspect of it, or playing around with the energies? Because I actually found out something about the Egyptian religion that like, so like a lot of people believe that like Ra and those got like the sun god Ra, he is like the highest in the food chain, but like even him is the son to like another god that's like not really known called Nun. Nun, and like he's supposed to be the all supreme, and then like Adam goes beneath him, and like you have, and like it breaks it down, like it separates into all the different divisions and the things that were previously. So I could see that, but like, did you all have like that supreme one that like didn't really interact with everything, but just was kind of like that original source? Like kind of like a personification is the word of that source?
Probably. That's a tough question for me, personally.
Right.
I'd say Dashbog, the one who's the sun god, the giver.
Right.
But Perun has been around for a long time. He is like the Germanic Thor and Odin combined.
Okay.
Super masculine. He is the most active parts of nature. And in the legend, Perun was revolved around a sacred oak tree, which was the home of all beings. And the top branches were the heavens. The trunk and the lower branches were the realms of men, and then the roots were the underworld.
I actually have a couple pictures of that. Yeah, that looks crazy though. Like the image of it is crazy.
Yeah. So then there's like the Dashbog. He is fire and rain. He gives the life to the crops in the fields. He symbolizes bounty and abundance. So he's the giving god. Then there's, like I said, Veles. It says he is also responsible for storms. He takes a form as a serpent and slithers up the tree towards Perun's domain. He is accused of stealing Perun's wife or children and taking them to the underworld. So then you got like, have you ever heard the word Chernobog?
No, I don't know. I've never heard that.
So Chernobog. So there's two forms. There's one called Belobog and then Chernobog. Chernobog, I believe, is like a negative spirit in a lot of things.
Okay.
Or like I feel like it's in video games maybe even. But Czernobog.
Okay, what's that about?
But Belobog is a god of light. Belobog is a god of light, and Chernobog is a god of darkness. Okay. And these two aspects are the same. Really? So Belobog, it means white god, and they're divided like it says experts are divided on whether he was worshipped individually or in tandem with Chernobog.
Really? So kind of like a yin-yang kind of aspect to it.
Yes. So Chernobog translates to black god. So they're worshiping this white and black god. And it was a dark and possibly cursed deity who was associated with death, misfortune, and overall calamity. In some legends, he appears as a demon and symbolizes all things evil because of the duality of Slavic gods.
Right.
So
Okay.
there's that aspect of literally God and the devil right there.
That
like
good and evil aspect has been around for so long,
like literally
bro.
right there.
Like honestly.
Then you have Velis. Then you have the shape-shifting snake who's going up this tree, who's deceiving and taking a woman.
Yeah.
Right. Then you have the sun that's giving goodness, that's giving fortune, that's giving growth. Right. Then you have the symbolism of the tree and how the power of the tree. So definitely a lot there
100%.
for that. And then you, of course, then you got some goddesses like Lada. She's like beauty and love. She's weddings and all that kind of stuff. Marzana is goddess of winter and death. And then you have a fertility goddess. So yeah, so there's just a lot of them. And then one is called Zoria, who represents the goddess of dusk and dawn, and it says representing both the morning star and the evening.
Really? The morning stars in the Bible a lot. So I can only imagine what all these like similarities with like even the morning star. I feel like I've heard alright, so there was this one Bible story where Jesus pretty much went and they were celebrating Passover, which is a Jewish religious kind of like festival. So they were celebrating Passover, and his mom and dad, they had left and went back home after the festival, and Jesus was still there. Like, Jesus was only a kid. He was like 12 years old. He was still in the temple, and he was preaching to literally the head religious leaders, you know, the pastors, the bishops. He was preaching to them, and like they're like his parents are like, oh, where is he, searching for him, asking everybody. Went back to where they were having the festival, and they see him there, and he's like, this is just what I do, pretty much. He was like, didn't you expect me to do my dad's work, you know? So he was like that. So I could only imagine him going to like a place like Egypt, and like him not like, how would he keep his mouth closed? How? If like everything was so, unless I know, like that's kind of how even with the Morning Star in that rendition of their religion, I feel like it's very, you know, there's, how do you go about that? And I feel like he wouldn't keep his mouth quiet. And I feel like he has done a lot of traveling, even to different countries. It's like sometimes he gets thrown out to where all he's went through is Jerusalem, you know? And that's what like a lot of people see from the outside, even though that could not be further from the truth.
They're just focused on certain things.
So what...
They're focused on the highlight of an individual's career.
So it's kind of like, oh, that's where he shined, so let's keep it spotlight on that.
That's when he was playing the role of Michael Jackson and moonwalking across stage.
Facts, because that's what they do now. Like, I know a lot of the time they just like, they focus on that end result more than they do where they started, you know?
The process to get to the end result, to be such a legend.
It's like they completely skipped over that. He needs his own book because apparently he made music.
It's the movie montage mentality. Where like you're not going to watch a movie to see the grind of the person. You watch a little bit of pieces of their struggles and their challenges, and sometimes when they mess up and when they say or do the wrong thing, and how they have to overcome all these things and still maintain legend glory status.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like it's only right to make sure when you're dealing with somebody like that, to make sure everything's perfect. Because honestly, bro, Jesus made music, bro. He made music. Yeah, bro, like he made music, and I'm like, yo, when was that one supposed to drop, bro? Like, I want that, bro. I'm trying to listen to that, bro. That would be on my playlist right now. Right. That'd be the first thing I'd listen to.
Some would argue that's
you
Kanye.
Feel me? Like, bro, apparently. Sorry, Jesus.
But, hey, I want to go into something real quick, and I think this is one of our last main points, but we've been on here for about an hour, so it's been a pretty good run. So let's talking about the strength of and all the power, and we're talking about the size of countries and all these different things. what did the Nubian Egyptian military might look like? Because you only have 4 million people in those
Right.
days. How are they protecting their lands? I have 380 million people who are out here defending their lands, right?
Facts.
Yeah, they might lose some land, but there's enough of them and enough land to be lost in that
I know, I was
aspect,
talking a
right?
lot of crap in the beginning.
Egypt is much smaller. Egypt is
Right.
much smaller. So, in the grand scheme of like
Okay.
land-wise, so what did the Egyptians do to maintain defense of such a smaller kingdom?
Yeah, well, it being smaller, you definitely, you got me there because, man, I was talking a lot of crap in the beginning for us. I thought we were having a good run until, I'm like a freaking, a speck next to freaking Slavic culture. But, okay, so the Nubians actually were doing pretty good. They were doing good enough as mercenaries to be, like, enlisted for Egypt. To be like, yo, we need some of your mercenaries to come here because they were
Right.
very skilled with like swords, but mainly
bow,
bow
right?
and arrow. Like Nubia was literally called the land of the bow because
Okay.
because of the
Yeah,
legend. Yeah,
okay.
bro, they're very good at archery, and that was like one of the things that they're
So you're telling me like they're Robin Hood before Robin
on
Hood's
God,
Robin Hood,
bro.
like
Robin Hood before Robin
had to
Hood,
go.
bro.
Robin Hood had to learn from a Nubian
Facts.
how to
That's
be
what I'm.
Robin.
That's what we got to call the podcast name for today, bro. Robin Hood before Robin Hood. Facts.
Maybe,
Facts.
maybe,
All right,
maybe.
but yeah, they fought with swords, axe. During that time period, most of their weapons were made of bronze.
So they got the axes out
Yeah, they
too?
got axes as well. So I'm guessing like they throw axes, but mainly, bro, archery, bro. Like projectiles were always like number one. You know, like getting that distance.
Yeah, hit them before you even have to
And
hit
that
them again.
that was a really good strategy that like would very circulate when like you would get high ground or like a tower or like a castle wall, and then the archers would get up there and shoot from there. So yeah, that was a very good technique.
Yeah.
And even today with like the trees, you know, like a lot of things go on in those trees. I know Japan uses like trees very usefully, you know. They'll be in there and they'll be shooting from the trees.
Okay.
How about you?
Right.
How was your like military infantry type?
So the Slavic armies, they were typically composed of a lot of infantry, like you said, and that included spears and archers and swords, but nearly like the spearmen was a big thing, but also cavalry,
Really?
because they, like I said, they had a lot of land, so cavalry was a huge. They didn't have as much of it as the infantry, but they knew how to use their cavalry.
Bro, cavalry's huge, bro. Cavalry's huge. That changes the
So
game, you know, when you're mobile.
Yep. Because you got to think the Khans and the Attila the Hun, right? So all these types of people are using horses, at least on the Eastern European side.
Right, because it's
especially.
100% one thing to hold down a base and like hold down a specific landmass, but it's a whole nother thing to like be able to move and still like succeed.
Yeah, to literally ride horses and run your enemies down, or in certain instances, use bows
Right.
on horses.
Takes
to be
skill.
mobile.
It's like a whole nother level of training. Well, speaking of a whole nother level of training, I feel like it'd be a perfect time to wrap this thing up. So thank you guys for joining us and watching, tuning in. You want to say your goodbyes, Mr. Trinity?
Yeah, absolutely. Goodbye to the fans. Remember, we got the YouTube, which you should be seeing this on, the Spotify, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We're going to be dropping music out soon. Our music's not typical music. If you listen to the music, there's a lot of some of the things that we're learning about, we like to throw in and sprinkle into the songs as well. So we do a lot, and we want to give a lot back to the community over time, but it takes the community supporting us first while we get up there. But we will not forget, we're not going to forget how we got there. That's
100%. Well said.
And I want to give a shout out to
Appreciate
Kurt,
you, bro.
because Kurt's definitely, working very hard to make sure that this dream comes to
100%,
fruition,
bro.
so
We
can
couldn't.
help
Hey,
these
man,
people.
that's what we do, bro. And like you said, it couldn't set it better. That was perfect. Yep, 100%. Stay tuned for the music dropping this. I don't speak on it, but I speak on it, bro. All right. Thank you so much for joining RTR United. Signing out.